he did not seem to stop. He keeps betting 230 around half of the pot. I decided to turn our straight to a bluff, and we race all in. Welcome to the first episode of How to Crush No Limit Hold'em poker games in United States Casino. I'm June. Today we're going to Parx Casino, which is the closest casino to New York City. And as you can see in the app, there are many live tables there. And let's go fishing! Today we're playing two $5 small blind big blind game, and we buying with maximum buy-in $1,000. Soon we get our first hand, Ace Queen offsuit. After two players limped, I open raise to $40, and they calls. The flop comes A6 all diamonds, and we do not have the diamonds in our hand. They all check to me. I choose to bet a small size, $40. Around 1/3 of the pot. My main purpose of doing this is to deny opponent's equity of holding small diamonds, and also I can get value from weaker ace. The player on the +1 calls, and turn comes a 9 of club. He checks to me, and I don't see reason of betting, so I check back. River comes a 7 of spade, and opponent bets $125, around 60% of the pot size. Wow, this is a tough decision. Facing this bet, I need 37% of win rate to make a profitable call. But I lost to all the value combos such as 2 pairs and set and flush. I can beat all his bluff combos such as hands with 1 diamond king. Even some weaker ace are blocking bet in the spot. After a long consideration, I choose to call, and here comes the bad news. Opponent shows nuts, king jack of diamonds, and we lose the first pot. The second hand I'm gonna share is hijack player limp. We got queen 8 offsuit at bottom. Considering rest of opponents are relatively tight, I decided to raise to $30, try to win the pot now, but small blind and hijack players all calls. And the flop comes king 9-6 2 clubs. They check to me. We don't have great equity here, so we check back. If I gonna bluff here, I would choose combos for such as straight draw or flush draw here. And the turn counts a blank 2. All of the players check again, and the river counts a 10. And something interesting happened here. So the hijack player stand up and start ordering some food with a service waiter. And considering the small blind player is a tight passive player, so I decided to bluff river with $60 bet, around 2/3 of the pot. After lady folds, surprisingly the hijack player did not forget his hand. He come back and start thanking and said that he should fold his hand, but he still chose to call eventually. And unfortunately, after we show our bluff, he shows 6-7 offsuit, and we lost the pot again. And the following hand is cutoff player limps. Small blind, a loose aggressive man opens to $25. I got pocket jacks at big blind, and I 3-bet to $90 for some value. He stares at me and calls. Flop counts 5-5-6 2 clubs. He checked, and I see bet $60, around 1/3 of the pot. On this board, we can bet like 100% of a range with a small bet to explore the opponent's weakness of insufficient defense, and opponent choose to call. Turn comes a 9 of spade. The pot is around 300 now, and he checked to me, and I bet $200, 2/3 of the pot, because there are still a lot of hands we can get value from, such as some draws and some mid pairs. And he calls again. The river comes 3 of spade and complete the bet for flush. And surprisingly, he dunked all in for $590, around a pot size bet. Wow, this puts me in a really tough position again. He could represent strong hands like backdoor flush, or a straight 4-7-8, or a full house. And the most obvious bluff is a mid front door flush draw, but I'm holding a jack of club now, and that makes me lean towards fold more. After deep tank, some people call time, and I got the last 30 seconds to make a decision. And finally, I decided to let it down. I don't know what you think about this hand. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts. Next hand, we got King Queen of Hearts on the under the gun. We open raise to 20 bucks. Button player and a calling station man at small blind choose to call. Flop comes Jack 6-4 2 hearts. This board texture is favoring the pre-flop raiser, so we decide to c-bet 20 bucks. Button folds and small blind calls. In the turn comes our dream card, 3 of hearts. We make the flush, and small blind check to us. We bet $50, around half pot, and he calls again. Actually, we should have bet larger size here, because if opponent had 5-7, he got his straight, and the top pairs won't fold here. Anyways, the river comes a queen of spade. He checks again. Now we have to fire big to get more value. Facing this calling station kind of player, we bet a full pot size bet $200. He thinks for a while and makes a call. We successfully get 3-3 value from this hand. And the next hand, we're playing with the previous loose aggressive man again. Action start with 2 limpers, and I got 8-9 suited at the bottom. I raised to 30 bucks, both of them calls. The flop comes Jack 10-3 2 diamonds. They both checked me, and I bet a big size $75. My plan was if I got called by the loose aggressive man, considering the SPR, I can go all in on the turn based on the turn card. After I bet, the first player folds and he chooses to call. Turn is a 4 of diamond and he shoves all in. We cannot call with 9 high straight draw, so we fold. This hand actually, I made a mistake. I should not play this type of hand like suited connectors if the effective stack is not deep enough. Anyways. And after we lose to this loose aggressive man several hands, we finally got a chance to revenge. This hand we got Jack 8 diamonds at middle position. We raise to 30 bucks and 3 player calls. Flop comes 7-9-10 rainbow. Yes, we flop the straight. Action check to loose aggressive man. He chooses to dunk 70 bucks again. Wow, we're so thrilled inside, but we're still holding our poker face and think we should raise or we should just call. Considering there's no flush draw here, I choose to call and to let him dance. And perhaps other players would do something crazy, but sadly all others players fold. The turn comes another 7 and pair the board. He bets 125 around half pot and we calls again. And the river comes one of the worst cards in the deck, the third 7. And he did not seem to stop. He keeps betting 230 around half of the pot. This makes this situation really interesting. Our straight now only wins pure bluff like 8x, and whereas we lose too many 9x and 10x combo. In this spot, because I'm the open raiser, I decided to turn our straight to a bluff, and we raise all in, trying to represent overpair. And my 8 of diamonds also blocked the quads combo of 7-8 diamond. After I went all in, he keeps murmuring about I'm being lucky of holding quads. Otherwise, this makes no sense. He finally chooses to fold, and we scoop this big pot with a desperate bluff. The next hand is there's a limper on the early position, and I got pocket fours on hijack. I raised to $30. Small blind, who is a aggressive player, he calls, and limper folds. Flop comes King 7-4 2 clubs. We got our dream flop. We flop the bottom set. He checks to me. On this dry board, I decide to bet a small size, 25 bucks, around 1/3 of the pot, trying to induce bluff from this aggressive man to do something crazy, and he calls. The turn comes 10 of diamond. The opponent did not let me down. He leads out 50 bucks, around 1/3 of the pot. On this draw heavy board, I re-raise it to $150, and he calls. The river comes another 7 and pair the board. All draws are missed. After he checked, we choose to bet $350, around 70% of the pot, targeting his king X or 2 pair. After a long tank, he announces to call. When I'm showing my pocket fours, ready to scoop this pot happily, surprisingly he said, "Sorry man, I got your back beat," and shows king 7 of spades. Sadly, we lost this huge spot. The next hand we're trying to rebound. My left player straddle to 10 bucks and all falls to small blind. He calls. I look at my hand, it's pocket kings. Definitely want to build some spot. We raise it to $50 and the straddle and the small blind calls. The flop comes king 7 deuce 2 spades. I hit the top set and small blind checks to me. At this dry board, we do not have a wide range to get value from, so I check and hoping straddle to fire. Unfortunately, he checks back, and turn comes a 10 of spades. The small blind went all in with 140 bucks. Raising might be too strong, so I choose to call. Straddle folded, and the river comes 9 of diamonds. The short stack man looked unwilling to show his hand. We showed kings, trying to be nice, and he mugged his hand and said, "Nice hand." And then we're going to the last hand of the day. Cutoff player open to $20, and button calls. We get king jack of hearts. Since that cutoff player is a tight player and he always limps in, so after he open raise to 20 bucks, we choose to just call on small blind. And the big blind also calls, so we're going to see a 4-way flop. The flop comes king queen 10 2 spades. Action checks to bottom player. He bets $70 with only $79 behind. We do not have many choices here. I choose to re-raise to 200 bucks, trying to get value from hands like ace queen, queen jack, 10 jack, or ace 10. All other player falls to him and he tanked for a really long time, and surprisingly, he folds. Overall today, I think Parx Casino is a great place to play. There are many live tables with all kinds of players, and today I bought in for $2,500 and cash out for $22.75, which is small lose today, but I think it's acceptable. Consider the full house over full house cooler. And yeah, that's it for today's content. And please leave a comment if you have any suggestions or ideas. And thanks for watching. I'll meet you guys next week.